So Elon Musk, our good boy, friend of the stream, visited Israel. Netanyahu has correctly assumed that the best way out of the current political snafu that he's in is just openly and transparently associating with the kinds of people who will lie for him or promote his lies. The weird thing with Elon is that, like, again, Elon doesn't have any beliefs and he's desperate for prestige and recognition. So he will, like, oscillate back and forth between saying that Jews contribute to the hatred of white people, which he did. He agreed with that on Twitter just a few weeks ago. And now he's running a PR lap with Netanyahu. You don't think he's a Nazi? I think Elon Musk will just believe whatever he thinks he needs to believe to get along with the people around him, and I think he's too stupid to realize he's doing this. I think there are grifters who are smart enough to realize that they lie about everything they talk about, like Jackson Hinkle. Jackson Hinkle obviously, transparently, clearly knows he's lying and doesn't care that you know. I don't think Elon is smart enough to know. I think Elon just likes the positive affirmation that he gets when he replies to neo-Nazis and white supremacists. And he also likes the positive affirmation he gets from, like, neocons and conservatives and Zionists. So whatever, he'll just jump around. I mean, who cares, right? It's not like Netanyahu gives a shit about Jews.
But returned to Israel. And, most of them were kidnapped.
Is when the terrorists infiltrated into the kibbutz itself.
I like Elon Musk's armor bib, by the way. Like, he just has, it was just like one ceramic plate just like hanging daintily from his neck to cover like 5% of his body from the front. Looks great.
This is the house of Bin Street. On his way back, he noticed several terrorists that were right over here.
Netanyahu is taking him on a tour of an area that Hamas attacked on October 7th. Not gonna lie, I was hoping he'd get arrested or something. Oh, Netanyahu does not give a fuck about anti-Semitism. He doesn't give a shit. Like, zero, no care whatsoever. God, look at Elon's face. Look at his face. Do you think Elon's going to become a hardline Zionist now? He's been jumping back and forth. He's been like agreeing with anti-Semites on Twitter, but then the next day, after getting criticized for agreeing with anti-Semites, he said that saying "from the river to the sea" and decolonization are both incitement to violence and promotion of terrorism, and could therefore be TOS. Like, he doesn't believe in anything. Literally, he just responds to whatever people are saying at him. Like, it's it. He's not very bright. He's not bright. Okay. He's like a cartoon character. He is a more pure example of the Joe Rogan syndrome than I've ever seen before, including in Joe Rogan. Because Joe Rogan does have underlying principled beliefs that he defers to sometimes, even if it's something like populism or contrarianism. Like, at least that's there. But Elon will shift between populism and technocracy, cynicism and, like, heartfelt endorsement of the status quo. He'll agree with anti-Semitism and then with, like, Zionists, and then he'll do, like, purity testing virtue signal bullshit, like "from the river to the sea" is actually a call to violence and terrorism and blah blah innately. Like, again, he doesn't actually believe in anything. Even Trump shifts his beliefs all the time, but again, Trump is smart enough to know that he's doing it. I don't think that Trump is like a genius or anything, but Trump has literally said out loud, like, "Yeah, you guys are so obsessed with the trans people now, huh? Yeah." And he'll do the trans bit. But you can tell his heart's not in it, It's weird. Yeah, he called himself an anarcho-syndicalist a few years back. He's just very dumb. He's just low IQ, like, genuinely. Like, a standard deviation below the average person. Like, if you imagine just like the average guy you see at the supermarket, I genuinely believe that he's about 15 to 20 IQ points lower than him.
They murdered, especially in this.
Inside them in order to breach doors or windows. And this is the insignia of the unit, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the this is the Hamas alchemical symbol that they use to blow through the fence at the border to the Gaza Strip. It was like some F may be shit. You know, they inscribed it on the ground, they clapped.
Yes, sir.
This is literal war tourism. Well, think about it from the perspective of Netanyahu. Netanyahu is tanking the PR war right now. Like, seriously, by every measurable demographic, American society has never been this unsympathetic to Israel and this sympathetic to Palestine. This guy's entire bit is being like the one strong man who can defeat Hamas, and he's failing at that. Hamas did an unprecedentedly murderous attack under his watch, which he completely failed to engage with. There have been a bunch of like op-eds and research bits indicating that like some of the casualties were from like crossfire between IDF and Hamas, which makes him look really bad. There have been claims of like indiscriminate firing from helicopters. Some of them are BS, but a lot of them are true. The IDF did freak out and react really aggressively in response to the attacks, which did lead to like crossfire and more death. And is that like totally is that like totally impossible to understand? Well, no, like obviously freak out shit happens in war, but it makes him look really bad either way. So he sees he's losing the PR war. By the way, the only PR war that Netanyahu cares about right now is in the West, because Netanyahu doesn't believe in democracy and doesn't want Israelis to get another vote. Just so you guys know, Netanyahu has been dodging press interviews with Israelis. Israel is fed up with him, sick of him. So from my perspective, I think Netanyahu is hedging on there never being another election again. Like, he was hated beforehand. Now he's despised. I think personally that he wants to use the corruption, the placing his cronies on the Supreme Court. You know, he's already been laying the groundwork for this. I think he wants to make Israel a dictatorship, one that he can control entirely. And at that point, the only thing he has to worry about is A, loyalty from the IDF, which I believe he has, and for the most part, at least to a large extent, and B, support from the West, because of course the United States has the right to put the end to this Netanyahu project the nanosecond we want to, because we're, you know, the United States and we can do whatever we want and we're God. So from Netanyahu's perspective, the only two goals here are keep support of the IDF and keep support of the West. And he's failing, at least with regards to support from the West. Like, things are trending negatively for him. So I think the reason he's bringing Elon Musk here is because he's basically just trying to show this stupid, wet, dumb, idiot boy, like, here, look at these burnt buildings. Isn't that bad? Now be super pro-Israel. And that's it. Like, he's just trying to, like, Elon being an anti-Semite has nothing to do with it. He is just trying to go, like, here, this is why, please agree with us. Go on. Go ban pro-Palestinian people on Twitter. Whatever. Go, you know? Yeah, they're inviting him over the way you'd invite an influencer to a clothing factory. Exactly. From The Atlantic, why the most hated man in Israel might stay in power. A survey recently found only 4% of Jewish Israelis ranked him as the most reliable of Israeli public figures. His overall approval rating recently clocked in at 27%, which for a wartime leader is desperately low. Like, oh, this is a good bit. Comparable to what a politician gets when, quote, running on a platform of higher taxes and episiotomies. Episiotomies? I don't know what that means. I only got to the higher taxes bit when I said this was good. What does that mean? A surgical incision of the perineum in the posterior vaginal wall. Okay, yes. A politician running on higher taxes and slicing open the taint. All right, sure, okay. Thank you, The Atlantic. I know you writers get paid the big bucks. Yeah. Taint slices and high taxes. Who says that? Atlantic writers. And you know what? If I wrote for The Atlantic, I would too. Epistomies? But there's an extra I in there. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Before the war, the standard critique of Netanyahu was that he had gutted his government, removed his possible rivals, and replaced them with nobodies and ideologues. This criticism seems obviously correct in retrospect, and by all evidence, Israelis are looking at him witheringly for having prioritized his own political survival over the capable administration of the country. But because he cannot be traded for hostages to get rid of him, they will have to trade him for some other politician. I still think that'll happen, but trade him for who exactly? In the absence of a clear answer to this question, the chance remains that Israel will be stuck with him. That's grim. Yes. I don't know quite enough about the current, like, broader political climate in Israel to challenge that statement. I only mean to say that's probably Netanyahu's perspective. He has undercut Israeli democracy by quite a lot, and at this point, he really just wants to keep the good graces of the West. Excuse me. Musk, the owner of the Twitter platform Tesla and SpaceX, also watched footage assembled from Hamas body cams, CCTV, and other sources of the October 7th Hamas killing spree. Does anyone, like, is this not absurd at the face of it? Hey, world's wealthiest man and owner of a social media platform, a world leader would like to take you on a tour of a recent terrorist attack and show you IDF-cultivated video footage to negatively polarize you in our favor so that you can then, like, govern your platform in a way. Like, can anyone imagine doing this with, like, I don't know, Zuckerberg? Like, hey, Zuckerberg, you know, we're like the dictatorship of Myanmar. Please come look at this footage we've cultivated of the rebels. Look at this village that they burnt, you know? Please ban them off of Facebook. Like, literally, that is the equivalent of what's happening here. It's insane. It's insane. But that's the world we're living in now. To be fair, there are enough super evil clips uploaded by Hamas themselves they don't have to cultivate. You do have to cultivate it, because if you were doing an unbiased collection of all existing wartime footage since October 7th, it would be 90% Palestinians getting mulched by rockets fired from over the horizon, you know? That's why you have to cultivate it. And also, it's pretty weird to just be getting the information from the military of one side of a conflict. Like, weird shit. Didn't Zuckerberg already work with the military junta? Facebook has done, there have been odious relations between Facebook and, like, dictatorships before, but it's not literally inviting Zuckerberg over to try to sway him personally. It's just business as usual, you know? In a Twitter post addressed to Musk, in a new tack on Monday, Karhi said Israel and Musk had reached an agreement in principle whereby Starlink satellite units could only be operated in Israel and Gaza with the approval of his ministry. In a Twitter post addressed to Musk, Karhi said he hoped the visit to Israel, quote, will serve as a springboard for future endeavors, as well as to enhance your relationship with the Jewish people and values we share for the entire world. Didn't Elon bend the knee to Erdogan a while back? Yes, Erdogan said that we will block Twitter in Turkey unless you, like, censor my opponents. And then Elon Musk, the free speech warrior, not only did that, but then publicly admitted to it, said what it was Erdogan offered or, like, threatened him with to get him to do that, and was like, what are you going to do? I didn't know that being pro-free speech would mean defending your principles when people challenge them. I just said shit like that, you know? Yeah, Elon is an ally to dictators. Did you see that Elon is suing Sweden? No, actually, I didn't. That seems like a very him thing to do, given the situation. Tesla sues Sweden's transport agency in escalation of strike row. U.S. carmaker company's discriminatory attack after industrial action stops new cars receiving Swedish plates. My man has not dealt with sympathy strikes before, it seems. What is a discriminatory attack in the context of a strike? What does that even mean? Like, you're discriminating against the company you're striking? What does that even mean? On what ground? On Thursday, Elon Musk, the chief executive of Tesla, decried the secondary action at the Postal Service PostNord as insane after license plates were prevented from reaching new Tesla cars. According to the Swedish financial newspaper Dagens Industri, the car maker said in documents submitted to Norrköping, there we go, District Court on Monday, this confiscation of license plates constitutes a discriminatory attack without any support in law directed against Tesla. Anna Berglund, director of the Swedish Transport Agency's Vehicle Information Department, confirmed that it received an interim decision from the district court to consent within 7 days to Tesla collecting license plates directly from the sign manufacturer, but they have not yet decided how to react. Okay, so basically what's happening is a variety of unions have striked against Tesla manufacturing in Sweden, and I guess one of the like sympathy strikes were from the Swedish government's transportation industry, right? No, sorry, my bad. The Postal Service PostNord, confiscation of license plates from the sign manufacturer. Okay, so essentially he's saying that these people at PostNord aren't even striking. They're basically just selectively not applying the license plates to our cars. So I guess the legal argument would be this isn't even a strike. This is just like them not fulfilling their contractual obligation or something. I don't really know what the legality of that is. Obviously, inconveniencing Elon in any way, shape, or form is based, but not if you lose a lawsuit over it. That is a strike. Well, a strike. I think I don't think you can. I think that. Well, I guess it probably depends on the country, right? Between Sweden and the United States. My impression is that like there's striking and then there's like dereliction of contractual responsibilities. And a strike is a dereliction, but it's one protected by law. But there are derelictions of your contractual responsibilities that are not covered by a strike, you know? If that makes any sense. So I guess it's really a question of would continuing to do your jobs, but just specifically not applying the license plates to Tesla cars constitute some kind of selective strike? Because you're still doing your job. You're just not. I don't know. It's totally up to Swedish law, which of course I know literally nothing about. So yeah. I don't really think this changes the overall equation, though, right? Like ton of industries are sympathy striking against Elon Musk right now. So even if he can get the courts to get them to hand the license plates over to Tesla, because that's what he's saying here. He's saying like, well, if you're not going to put the license plates on, give them to us. We'll do it, because license plates are like special objects that carry state and law significance. They're not just like plates of metal, So give them over to us. Even if he does that, which it seems he has, that doesn't really change the situation in Sweden, right? Like, that doesn't change the fact that 50 trillion companies are refusing to do business with him. So it seems like things are fine then. Yes, license plates, like many objects given to us by the state, are imbued with magical legal energy. As I understand, but I could be wrong, Transport Agency has a contract with PostNord that only PostNord can deliver the plates. No other logistics company contract doesn't allow the plates to be kept. They would be shipped. Tesla claims Transport Agency screwing against Tesla. Yeah, I guess that would really depend on the courts. I'm not really sure.